If you love wisdom, put your mind up to the ceiling. Don't let it stay in the gutter. Don't let your heart get all cluttered. No, I did not stutter. Listen to all that I've muttered. Your life will only go well if you in wisdom or lovers.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
You and I. You and I.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You are listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. We're talking about the wisdom of priority. And I have a very special guest with me. She goes by the name of Nic ForReel. Say what's up.
Hey guys, can't wait to talk.
So this is going to be an awesome episode. We are talking about priority, things that we need to prioritize in our lives in order to be successful. So just hang tight, because as soon as we come back from the break, we'll be on it.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside.
Hey, what's going on, Wisdom family? Each week on For the Love of Wisdom, we promote a new and free audiobook that we believe you will benefit from and become wiser by listening to. On today's show, we're talking about the wisdom of priority. And so, the recommended book for this week is Being There: Why Prioritizing Motherhood in the First 3 Years Matters by Erica Commissar. This book takes a powerful look at the importance of a mother's presence in the first years of her child's life. To download this free book today, just visit audibletrial.com/lovewisdom. Audible is spelled AUDIBLE, so that's audibletrial.com/lovewisdom.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back. You are listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. And I'm here today with a special guest, Nic ForReel. What's going on?
Hey, how are you?
All right, I'm good. So glad that you could join me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So we have an awesome show planned for you today. Today we are talking about the wisdom of priority. And so each week on For the Love of Wisdom, we pick a new topic. And right now we're in a series where each episode ends with the suffix ity, right? So we've talked about unity, we've talked about prosperity, we've talked about paternity, we've talked about we talked about a lot. So today we're focusing on priority, right? And before we get too much into that, if this is your first time listening to the show, just as a reminder, or if you are listening for the first time, this is going to be the first time you're hearing this, but the title of the show actually comes from the word philosophy, right? And the Greek word for philosophy is philosophos. And the first part of that, philo or philo, it means love. And sophos means wisdom. So that's where we get the term philosophy, and that's where we get the title Love of Wisdom. That's the name of the show, For the Love of Wisdom. And wisdom is all about the ability to discern inner qualities in relationships. So that's insight. And it's about having good sense or judgment. And wisdom is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. So last week on For the Love of Wisdom, we actually discussed the wisdom of prosperity. We had a special guest with us by the name of Brian Nice. And we talked about how, prosperity has a lot of different synonyms. Some of them are wealth, success, profitability, affluence, riches, opulence, the good life, fortune, good fortune, ease, welfare, comfort, security, well-being, luxury, etc., right? But we also talked about how that is not just limited to money, because we discussed how we can prosper mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally, and financially, right? So if you missed those episodes, we put out 2 episodes every week. Don't worry about it, because they are always available for free download, and you can get those on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, or Google Play Music. And also, if you have an Alexa device and you want to listen to the show, you can just say, Alexa, play For the Love of Wisdom, and that'll actually pull the episodes up for you there. So go online today and look up For the Love of Wisdom, and continue listening on your favorite podcast platform, whichever one that is. Also, if you want to join today's conversation, or you want to contribute to some of the previous conversations, you can hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @LoveWisePodcast. And in your response, just make sure to use the hashtag #ForTheLoveOfWisdom. All right, now, as I mentioned before, today we are discussing the wisdom of priority. And we're here with Nic ForReel.
Hey.
And this is something that is, it's going to be pretty exciting. I think that she has a lot of cool insights from a female perspective, and I think that that's really important. You're used to hearing from me, and I have a lot of male guests, but I think that you are in for a treat this time because we're going to go to the other side of the brain, right?
Yeah.
Because they say that,
Up a little bit.
Men and women have, left, what is it that guys
like
think on
Venus
the
versus Mars.
Yeah. They say
Yeah.
guys are like right brain and women are left brained, or maybe vice versa. I don't know, but this should be interesting. One thing that I always like to do at the beginning of an episode, because I really like word studies, I like breaking down words, seeing where stuff comes from. So I want to talk about where this word priority comes from. Why do we use it? Because we don't want to use words that we don't know the meaning of. We want to make sure we know what we're talking about, because it actually gives meaning to our words, right? So according to the online etymology dictionary, the word priority has Old French and medieval Latin roots, right? So we're going pretty deep right here.
Didn't know that.
So literally, the word priority means state of being earlier, right? It's the fact or condition of being prior. So it is precedence in right or rank. Okay, so basically, whenever you use the word prior or priority, you may typically say something like, prior to using mouthwash, be sure to brush your teeth, right?
Yes.
Do you do that, or
Yes,
or you do it the other way?
This morning,
Okay.
I brushed my teeth. I mean, I don't think it makes sense to mouthwash and then brush, right?
Exactly, yeah, because in this context, mouthwash is the second step, typically. Now, I don't know what other people do. I know for me, personally, I brush, then use mouthwash.
Me too.
Right, so if mouthwash is the second step, that means that toothbrushing is prior, or it takes priority over the mouthwash. And now it doesn't mean that the mouthwash doesn't happen. Both get done, but one comes before the other.
If you can't get to the mouthwash and you're rushing,
I mean, worst case scenario, if you have to choose one, at least choose the toothbrushing.
Right.
But if you make time out for it, maybe you gotta wake up an extra 3 minutes earlier or something. Then toothbrushing first, then the mouthwash second.
Right.
So essentially, the word priority has to do with something being first, either in order or in rank of importance. Okay, so that's what we're talking about now. So I want that to stay in your mind as we're talking about priority. In life, we have several different responsibilities, right? I have a lot of responsibilities. Nic, I'm sure you have a lot of responsibilities.
Oh my gosh, so many.
And if you were to break down everything that you're responsible for just in one day, you would probably be surprised at how much you're actually responsible for on a daily basis.
I don't even think I want to know.
Right, because we're just on autopilot a lot of times. We don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Right, we just do. But if you were to really break it down, write it down on a sheet of paper, you'd probably be overwhelmed just from looking at it.
I mean, it starts from even setting your alarm the night before to wake up the next day.
Right, exactly. Every little thing that you do is we probably do millions of things in one day.
And don't even realize.
So even though we have several things that must be accomplished every day, there's an order of importance or prioritization of each of these items. So for instance, putting your clothes on in the morning, that takes priority over walking outside to get into your car, right? Because imagine if you were to do it the other way around. Imagine if you were to walk outside.
I would be happier, but I don't think everybody else would appreciate it.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know if everyone is going to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So that's why typically putting our clothes on takes priority over walking outside. And that's just, common sense. That's just something that we do. We may not even realize that that's what's going on, but really what we're doing is we're just allowing one thing to take priority over the other.
We don't even think about it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we're just like, put our clothes on, do our hair, brush our teeth, whatever.
Right.
Get out the house.
And so things like that, we don't really think too much about it, but there are other things in life that are more complex, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's much harder to decide, should this thing take priority or should this other thing take priority?
That's exactly what I'm going through right now. So I understand.
Hey, well, make sure you don't forget that, because I want us to
can't
talk about
forget.
that. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that, because I think it's important. It helps people when we share our experiences, right?
It really does.
So by you talking about what's going on with you, there's somebody who's going to be able to connect with that and say, wow, somebody said it. I was just thinking about that.
Yep, that's only how it happens.
Yeah, so when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion about priority. One thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at the headlines. We're going to look at what's been in the news the last couple of days. We're going to take a look at the Washington Post, the New York Times, all of that. And we're going to see what that has to say about priority, because that is a very relevant topic in the days and times that we're living in. And especially as it relates to women and women with children. That's something we're going to focus on today, since we have Nic ForReel with us. And we really want to look at, what does a person need to do when they're juggling a lot of different things? How does one best prioritize? Even when sometimes they're stigmatized or looked down upon because they're choosing to prioritize. For example, putting their children over, the demands of their boss, things like that. So we'll be right back after this. You're listening to North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Queen Z from the Queen Z Show, and you are listening to For the Love of Wisdom.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you, and I'm your host, JC Johnson, and this is For the Love of Wisdom. And I got my special guest with me, Nic ForReel.
Hey.
And today we are talking about the wisdom of priority, if you're just tuning in. And we have a lot of good information for you today. So before the break, we just looked at the definition of the word priority, just so that we know what we're talking about. And we said that it's the state of being earlier, or the fact or condition of being prior, or something that takes precedence in right or rank, right? So when you use the word prior, right, that's what we're talking about. When you're saying one thing comes before another, and usually it comes before the other because it's more important. Doesn't mean that you don't do the other thing, but it just means you got to make sure that first things come first.
Right.
So on that topic, right now we're going to look at a couple of headlines. I have one here. This was actually just published yesterday by Sarah Berger, and her article is called "Building a Career is More of a Priority Than Having Kids, Say Single American Women." All right, so Nic, I definitely want you to weigh in on this one. All right, so let's read a little bit about what she had to say.
Okay.
All right, it says, family or career, right? 4 times more single American women are prioritizing building a professional career than having kids, according to a new study conducted by creative marketing agency Hill Holliday and its market research company Origin. Okay, so 4 times as many single American women are putting the priority of building a career over having kids. What do you think about that?
I can kind of understand why.
Okay, why is that?
And for everyone out there listening, yes, I have a son.
How old is your son?
He's 10 months, but he's like 3 years old, I swear. He's so amazing. He's already walking, almost talking.
Oh, wow.
He's, cool. Independent. He doesn't even like me to feed him, okay? He takes it himself and just eats.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's my world, but there is a but.
All right.
I moved from New York back here to Ohio to have my son. Mm-hmm. And like I said, he's 10 months, and I am having that feeling of I need to get back out there. I need to get my career on track. Like, I really need to get it back.
Right.
It's like something in me is just like, I cannot just be a mom and have a regular job. It's not in my DNA at all. So I can understand. Before I had a kid, I was just like, career. I was in New York for 5 years, only focused on my career. The only thing that stopped me was a kid. Nothing else got in my way.
Right.
No boyfriend, no nothing. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But a kid slowed that up, but haven't stopped me.
Okay, and that's good. And I definitely want to get more into that as we get further into the show, because I have a lot of questions for you about that. So one other thing that it says in this article by Sarah Berger, it says that for single women, the top 3 priorities, in fact, had nothing to do with marriage or family. And when I read that was pretty surprising to me. I mean, I know that, times are changing and everything.
New day and time.
Yeah, but I didn't know that it wasn't even on the top 3.
Well, because we've been for so many decades, centuries, forever, we've been stereotyped to get a man, get married, that's your life. Stay-at-home mothers, cook for your man, clean for your man, have babies for your man. Your man is your world. The most important day for a woman is what? The day she gets married, right? Before that is prom. All that has to do with a man picking her. So I think right now we're in the I am very independent. I can do this on my own with or without a kid, and nothing is going to stand in my way. We're so focused on getting our career built that we're like, a man can come. 40 is the new 20. 40 is the new 30. It's just, of course, we don't crack. So, we're like, oh, we have time. The only thing that we kind of look at a little bit more is having babies. We're like, okay, once you hit 35, you're like, and you don't have a kid, it's like, oh my gosh.
Right, yeah, that biological clock starts ticking, right?
And that's only because we have something internally, no matter how young we look on the outside, telling us, listen, you need to have this kid or you won't have one at all. Or it'll cost you a lot of money to freeze your eggs,
Right, yeah. And getting into that's that's where things get complicated.
Yeah, so I can understand why a man is not on the top of a woman's list or getting married or anything, because for so long we've just been taking for the man.
Right.
It's time for us to worry about ourselves.
But now that you do have a son, and you're expecting as well, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's cool. That's cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Haven't announced it all the way to the world, to my social media yet, but you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
Yeah. I'm actually expecting as well. Or my wife is expecting. So
really?
In about 2 months. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wait. So she'll have a baby in 2 months.
Yeah.
So you're going through all the woes. Do you know what you're having?
Yeah, it's gonna be a girl.
Yay, a girl. Did you want a boy? All guys want a boy, right?
Well, I have a son already, and actually have a daughter as well already too. So now it's gonna be 2 girls, 1 guy. So he's gonna be slightly outnumbered, but maybe So maybe we gotta even it up in a couple years or so. But we'll see. So for you, now that you do have a kid, and you actually have another one on the way, what would you say are your order of priorities? Maybe your top 4.
Top 4. Being a mother now, my kid comes first, because I don't have a man and I'm not married, and I went about everything in, as society would say, the shameful way. My kid is top. He's priority, and my soon-to-be son is priority also. That takes precedence.
Right.
But I've also talked to my family, and if something happens with my career where I might have to travel back and forth to New York to here and New York to here, they have my back. And I wouldn't feel bad going back to New York to deal with some things and then coming back and just flying out all the time, until I get everything situated. You need money to take care of your kids, right?
Exactly.
If I don't have a man in the household, who's going to do it for me? So,
right. And so I guess that is the reason why a lot of women maybe, do feel like, well, it would be great to have somebody. However, I got to make sure I look out. We have to worry about our career
myself first. That is why career is number 1. Because at the end of the day, no one has our back but us.
But what if things were different? What if you had the guarantee
of a man?
Yeah, and and not just any man, but one that was actually going to be involved, one that that for sure has your back and is going to be there through thick and thin.
Where would he be?
Yeah.
In the priority list? Oh man, that's a hard one, because then you also have the inside question of, do you put your man before your kid? Because some households traditionally, that is how it's supposed to be. You serve your man's plate first and then your kids. But me personally, because I am not in that era, my kid comes first. Because let's say my kid didn't get along with the guy, I'm going to just stay with him, even though my kid is unhappy.
Well,
so, yeah, so, I mean, in my mind, I put my kid before my man right now. Not saying that couldn't change, but right now it would be my kid, my man. I don't want to say priorities. I mean, career is number 3. I can't really say career is number 3 because what if he leaves me? Then I'm just high and dry. I can't count on his money. I have to make my own.
Right, and that is, in life there are no guarantees, right?
None.
I mean, anything could happen. I mean, even if a man doesn't leave you, maybe he does have full intentions to be with you, but
my career is before my man right now.
he might get hit by a bus.
He might get hit by a bus.
So even if he does plan to be there, life happens, right? He could be in a tsunami or something, right? So anything can happen, right? So I think it is important. I think it is wise to always know what you would do, what if. One thing that in my family, one thing that we do talk about is the importance of life insurance, because you never really know. Right, and it's important to make sure that those that you care about are taken care of.
You can get life insurance for anybody, so y'all know that. All you need is a name and social security.
Yeah, but be careful with that too, because some people take advantage of that.
They really do.
But when we come back from the break, we're actually going to look at how women across the nation rank their priorities. More on that after this.
You're now listening to For the Love of Wisdom on NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with who? No other but you.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. You are listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets, and we're on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. This is your host, JC Johnson, and I have my special guest with me, Nic ForReel.
Hey now.
So before the break, we were talking about one of the headlines, which is building a career is more of a priority than having kids, say single American women, right? So Nic, you gave a little bit of your perspective on that, and before the break I did promise you that I was going to give you some statistics, so I want to show you what most women in America, or single women in America, how they're thinking. This is how they prioritize things in their life, all right? And I'm going to give you the top 8.
Top 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so 44% of women say that their number one priority is living on their own.
I say yes. It feels so good. Yes. So
that's number 1 for most single women, right? All right, so let's look at number 2. Number 2, 34% of single women say that establishing a career is next on that order of prioritization.
Yes.
Okay, so
I agree.
Yeah, and so before the break, you did mention that establishing your career, the importance of that.
Number 1.
Yeah, so for you, that's number 1. Or well, you said that your son is number 1.
My son is number 1. But before I had my kid, it was everything that they're talking about right now.
Right.
But now that I don't know if they're asking already mothers or no mother,
I think these are. I'm assuming that these are single, as in not just not married, but also with no kids as well. Yeah.
So when I was, New York life, I was out, lived by myself, had my career, everything was popping.
Okay.
Even nothing could hold me back.
Got you. So number 3 on here, 27% of single women in America, they're saying that their third priority is financial security. And I think that that's something that, at least from a guy's perspective, at least we think that most women would say that financial security is a big one.
It is. Marriages break up because of that. Okay, so that is very important.
Yeah, it is definitely very important for anyone to be financially secure, but interesting that that's number 3 on here.
We don't play no more.
Number 4 on the list is, which comes in at 20%. 20% of single women in America say that getting married is a priority. So that's 4th on their list. So
I would have put baby next.
Well,
I don't know. Well, I guess you should get married first and then have the baby. That's how it's supposed to go.
Right. That is how it was designed.
Ladies, don't listen to me. That's how it's supposed to go. Okay.
Right. It doesn't always happen that way, but that is I believe God's design originally. He wanted people to when they bring children into the world, bring them into a marriage, just because,
it's not easy.
Yeah, things are complicated enough already. So I think having that security for men and for women, bringing kids into a marriage, it's more likely that, of course, you're going to get help and be able to do it with somebody. Whereas when you're not married, I know that maybe women don't think of it this way a lot of times, but guys definitely are thinking, well, hey, if we're not married, we're not really together, right? So yeah, we had a kid and everything, but
but that's when you have to really talk to the guy and say, I am very upfront. Are we together? Like, do you want to be with me? Yes, no, or maybe. Circle like old school days, okay?
Right, and that can feel like a big trick question for most guys.
And I don't understand why it's a trick question. How could it really be a trick question? If you're dealing with a girl, you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, like as if you're her boyfriend. Why is it so hard to say, yes, I am your boyfriend, we are together?
Because now, and guys, you can back me up on this one, but oftentimes when a woman says, hey, just tell me the truth, just tell me whatever it is, tell me how you really feel about this.
What is so
are
wrong
we
with
together?
That?
And if a guy's like, well, actually, you're just someone I, just talk to. We're not really together.
That is so honest, so therefore she knows where she stands with you.
But then what happens
next? And we'll
next?
put you on a certain list, okay?
Yeah, the block list, right?
Yes.
That's where you go after that.
That's where you need to go.
Right, so guys say, you know what, I don't want that. So that's why they're like, you know what, let me kind of be careful with this one. I'll just tell her, you know what, I mean, we're together.
Cake is eager too. But what if the woman said to you, listen, we're just kind of, hooking up.
Right. I mean, for anyone, if you're the one who wants it to be more, and that other person is saying they don't, I mean, it can be hurtful no matter who you are, whether you're a man or a woman.
But we do have, double standards. But we'll get into that later, I guess.
Right. So let's look at this list right here. So we got through the first 4. All right. So number 5 on the order of priority for single women in America is getting promoted at work, and that is at 12%. So 12% are saying that that's a priority. So
that means more money. Okay, I understand.
And
women are about money. Bottom line. Don't ever let any of them lie to you.
Right. At 10% of women in America, this is coming in at number 6. They're saying that their priority is moving to a new state and or country.
Sometimes we need to start over and restart our life. But that place that we move to, that's going to be the place that we're going to really settle and say, okay, I see myself here.
Right.
So,
and that can be good too. Just because you're from a certain country, it doesn't mean that that's where you have to stay.
Yeah.
I think that as Americans, we're very comfortable for the most part. So if someone were to say, hey, have you ever thought about moving to New Zealand?
Well, that's different. Because listen, we have rules and we have a certain way that we have that's learned behavior.
Right.
We go over there and break a rule that in what is it, Saudi Arabia, they can't even hold a hand. So we go over there all with Bay, and next thing you know, we're in jail for holding hands.
Right, and in Saudi Arabia, I believe it's also illegal to eat pork. So if you're caught with pork, you can be thrown into prison.
Yeah.
So if you like pork chops and hot dogs and stuff, Saudi Arabia is probably not the place for you. Right?
Don't go.
But there are a lot of other places though that aren't so extreme. Hey, like Canada. Canada, I mean, it's technically it is America. It's North America, so it's not too far away. Depending on where you live, it might just be a couple hours away.
Or Dominican Republic. I love visiting there, so I go.
Yeah, and so there are several alternatives for people if you do want a fresh start, or the United States is just not working for you, or you're saying, you know what, I don't really like being under this leadership of the current president or whatever. Hey, you always are able to migrate somewhere else. Just as people come to here, they come here to the United States.
Good luck on trying to get back in.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why you need dual citizenship. Make sure you don't revoke your citizenship.
Exactly.
Keep that. Another one. So number 7. Now, so we talked about children. So actually, number 7 on the list, 8% of women in the United States say having children is a
What?
priority.
I am so surprised.
Yeah. So
How are we gonna keep the world going?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, we didn't get 8 billion people by not having children.
You know what? That's one thing I disagree on. You know, this society, sometimes we do focus a little bit too much on everything else and want everything to be perfect. If I would sit and wait for my perfect husband in my perfect life, I can be 40 and next thing you know, I can't even have a kid anymore. Or it's a long, expensive procedure to have a kid.
Right.
I'm not saying that doing it this way was the way to go. Yay, Nicole. But I'm saying things happen and sometimes, you know, you don't want to be shamed, but go along with the flow. It could change your life.
Yeah, in life, you never really know what will happen. I know people who maybe they did even try to start having children in their 20s, but were unsuccessful for whatever reason. Yeah, they were actually trying.
I'm telling you, I talked to a girl the other day. This girl was 17 years old, talking about how she wanted to have a baby and she was trying.
When we come back, we're going to talk about pregnancy discrimination. This is a pretty big topic right now. You don't want to miss this. You are listening to North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. And I'm with special guest Nic ForReel. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. You are listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. This is JC Johnson, and I'm here with Nic ForReel.
Hey.
So before the break, we were talking about how in the United States, single women are prioritizing a lot of things, right? They're prioritizing living on their own, establishing a career, financial security. They're prioritizing a lot of things, but much lower on that list of priorities is getting married, having children, those things. And I think that that's pretty interesting. It says that only 8% of women in the United States see having children as a priority.
Wow.
That's pretty low.
That's really disappointing, actually. I've never heard those statistics, and that is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to keep producing?
Exactly.
And then, you know, it'll be like, oh, one kid.
Right.
Back in the day, they shut out like 16.
Exactly. Who's your kid gonna play with?
You know? And that was my main thing. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna have anybody for my kid to play with. And now he has a little brother that he'll have someone to play with, and I'm just happy about that.
And of course, you know, there's always, you know, cousins and friends at school and everything. But I mean, you know,
it's different.
there's
When you're
nothing
at home,
like having a sibling.
I can't believe getting a promotion at your job is more important than the love of a kid.
Only in America.
Only in America. That's what we need to make America great again. And he wants to stop that. We won't get into that.
Well, maybe if we have time, we'll get a little bit more into that. But one thing that I mentioned before the break is that we're going to talk about pregnancy discrimination.
Oh my gosh, I went through it.
Okay, and I definitely want to hear your experience on that. But there is an article by Natalie Kitrolf and Jessica Silver Greenberg. All right, and this actually just came out on June 15th, which was the day after my birthday. Actually,
happy belated.
Thank you. And in this article, they have some pretty interesting stuff to say. I wanted to discuss a little bit. One thing they said is each child chops 4% off a woman's hourly wages, according to a 2014 analysis by a sociologist at the University of Massachusetts. All right, it says that men's earnings increase by 6% when they become fathers, after controlling for experience, education, marital status, and hours worked.
And this is why women put career first. Flat out.
Right.
You see that?
I can see it, because definitely, you know, I think that traditionally society more so encourages men to have children and to give them promotions, because I think the way that things worked before was that because men for the most part made up the majority of the workforce,
right,
then it was expected that women would stay home with the children, so men's wages would increase, because they actually see that as a form of stability for their company, because they say, okay, if this guy is married, he has kids,
that really makes me mad.
Then that means that he is going to be less likely to just quit one day because he gets mad because, you know, I told him to redo something, because, you know, he has a family to take care of. So traditionally they would, you know, maybe, you know, compensate them maybe a little bit more, but because things have changed so much in 2018, really, wages should be equal across the board. I definitely believe
You know what?
that.
I always say, and I'm actually working on a project, but it's about women and how we come out with strikes on us. Being a woman, that's one strike. Against us, we're gonna have to fight harder for it, because it's a man's world. You know,
That's what James Brown said.
exactly. And then on top of that, being a black woman is even deeper, because we have that other strike on us because of the color of our skin. So we have to like climb this ladder and try to keep climbing and work harder just to get a smidget of what a man can get, and especially even what a white man can get. You know what I mean? So that really, it really makes me mad that they encourage the men to have kids and everything, and they get a raise. But think about the woman that they're having that kid with. She can't work for a certain amount of time. It's not possible. No way you can just shoot out a baby and go to work the next day. It's not happening.
I guess as guys, we figure that women are like super women, you know? Like, yeah, you can do that. You can go ahead.
Yeah, why do we always have
that
to be
kid,
told to be strong?
bounce back after about 48 hours, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no. Not how it works at all. But it gets to a point where we get discouraged. You have to think about it. After having that kid, first, we're just tied to the man. Now we're if we're not his wife, we're his baby mother, we're his girlfriend, and we always have to have a title on us. When it's you're just Jason. When it's me, it's, oh, you're Nicole, Lamont's wife, right?
Right. Yeah,
you hear that?
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it is the same way the other way around, but I hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
It is like that a lot.
It is like that. And then you have to worry about, we have to look at our body. We're not the same. We don't feel the same. Our emotions are not even the same. We have like stretch marks and weight that we've gained and everything else. And trying to cook and have a baby in one hand while you're working, you know, it's a lot that we actually do that. What, you know, as a single mother or as a mother, even if you have help in the house and you're at home taking care of the kids while your husband is out working, making all that good money that you're not making, and when you finally say, okay, I want to get out there and work, you get sliced. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you have kids? Oh, okay, so you're going to get a certain amount of money. You know, like, you're a woman with kids, and how many kids do you have?
Right. Yeah, there can be a lot of discrimination on that.
Like, it's just so much that we have to deal with.
One quote right here before we go to the break. It says in the article, when she got pregnant, Otisha Woolbright asked to stop lifting heavy trays at Walmart. Her boss said she had seen Demi Moore do a flip on TV when she was nearly full term. So being pregnant was no excuse, quote unquote.
Wow.
Miss Woolbright kept lifting until she got hurt.
Wow.
That's crazy. Right, and that's unfortunate. It shouldn't be like that.
Well,
but
I can't. Wow.
But more on that after this. You are listening to North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
Knowledge is power, power is money, and money makes the world go round. Money, power, respect, I get it, higher, learning, yeah, I'm winning. Only get better with time, you got on my mind with wisdom, there's no limit. There's no limit, get up and get it. Can achieve the impossible, conquer every obstacle. Exhaustively grind and constantly push and do what they say I could. Life is what you make it. Knowledge is power, don't let them take it.
If you're in love with wisdom,